Hi, everyone, and welcome back to the AI Interconnect Podcast. I'm your host, Lauren. This show is where builders, operators, and investors show how things really work behind the scene. AI Interconnect is the platform connecting the people shaping AI, tech, and the real world innovation across industries. Today, I'm joined with Wajeeh Hussain, co founder and CEO at Creosoft Capital. And Creosoft Capital is an early stage investment and accelerator platform supporting founders building in AI, SaaS, fintech, and emerging technology. Wajeeh, thanks for being here. Very happy to have you on the show.
It's my pleasure. Thank you for having me today.
Wonderful. Okay, then I'm excited. Let's do that. Let's start. I'd like to start with your background so listeners understand the path that led you here. You have a strong mix of operator mindset and ecosystem builder, which is something I see often in people who choose to work closely with funders. How did your own journey lead you to co-found Creosoft Capital and step into this role working so closely with early stage funders?
Yeah, thank you. Very good question. So I'll just give you the professional version of it. I am a builder and I started as a builder, helped a lot of technology founders to build the products. But the last 3, 4 years, I've realized that with the changes and the trends and how the market is going, the problem was like having months and months of development, building something without solving the actual problem, without finding the gaps and all that. So that's where, I started to get more involved in the leadership roles with the founder, where let's say we didn't just start to build something, but we actually built something for purpose, right? And that led me to found a company, which is Creosoft Capital, where we not only help the founders to build and let's say do just launch a technology product, but also validate them, get them the product market fit, how soon they can get into the market, how the business model is shaped. So we technically help them not only in the building, but also taking themselves to the phase where they can actually launch the product, see how the market reacts to it. So we invest in terms of infrastructure, giving them a full support on the leadership, on the technology. So that's kind of how I shaped myself from the builder, a technologist, to kind of a business a technologist, where I help founders to scale and make the product successful. That's what we do.
I love it. I love it. Very nice. What early moments made you feel this was the space you wanted to commit to long term?
Yeah, so I have been part of many projects. You could say more than 100 projects. I've been part of many, many projects, right? And what made me disappointed was after months and months of development, when we launched something and things were not working, right? So what happens technically is the founders, they just run out of cash. The project's very good ideas, fantastic $1 billion ideas, go into just scrap because of that funding issue, because of that early adoption, right? So that gave me a purpose, like a question like that arise in my mind, that okay, after so much hard work, after building something, after inventing the color blue, why it's not working out? So then I started to think from the perspective of the users, and I became from a person who just accepts the requirements and build the product, to a person who actually tells you, okay, this is the problem, it's not going to work, let's do it this way. Very less of the people can tell you like what you're thinking, what are the problems in that. So that kind of were the early days of the transformation on how we took on this path. And I've got an amazing partner, Shazad, who is my co-founder as well, and together we were part of many successful projects, and that kind of gave us a great edge. And then we started to expand ourselves into Middle East, APEC region. So we're helping founders from across the world to come expand in the region and get access to, a great ecosystem, because alliance is better than competition. So that's what we're making, and that's what the future of our company is.
What did you underestimate about working with funders at the early stage?
They're passionate, but they don't see long term. So I think I've been with a lot of people who have like 30, $50,000 and they just want to make $1 billion product out of it, right? The reality is that if you jump in this, like product development space, you have to stick with it. It's like a brainchild. You have to feed it, you have to carry it forward until it becomes sustainable enough to give you some returns, right? Most of the founders, they don't have clarity on how the investments work, how the funding is actually acquired to support any project. They just think that if I have an idea, I can raise millions of dollars. That's not how it works in this time. As we speak, 2026, everything has changed, right? So that's one of the problem that I found with all the founders, most of the founders that I worked with. So I kind of, help them understanding this part, that if you, let's say, get into the space, let's say if you want to build a product, it's not going to be a game for 6 months and you make a lot of money. You have to stick with it for 3 years, 4 years, till the point when it becomes naturally revenue positive. So these are some of the bottlenecks that I've seen common in the founders these days. Yeah.
Yeah, it makes sense. It makes sense. And what lesson from those early days still shape how you evaluate opportunities now?
Yeah. So don't stick with something for long. Prototype, iterate. Let's say for me, when I started to work on the products, don't make it an ego problem. So let's say if you're solving a problem, making a product, just give it a time frame. Just do whatever is required to get it out in the market, get that, in front of the people. And then if it doesn't working out, you have to have a clear exit plan. Without an exit plan, what happens? Demolish your relations are sabotaged, you're bankrupt. So I think these were some lessons that I've learned as well, to not personally so attached with some idea and make it your ego problem. Rather, think about how to sustain it. So because I built a few products, they didn't work out. And for me, it felt like the end of the world. But then I thought, if I have to keep doing it, I need an infrastructure. I need to have an engine that can help me, enable me to keep building products. And that's how we entered into the services based environment. Now we're helping a lot of blockchain companies, AI companies. And then within that ecosystem, we're also building our own products without the problem of the cash flow, because that's how we balance it. So bootstrapping is what I learned and I've done, and I'm pretty successful on that part. But yeah, looking forward to build that unicorn still on the way.
I love this. Very cool. Okay, you operate in a space where a lot of people use the same words: accelerator, capital, platform, but they often mean very different things. When you explain Creosoft Capital to someone outside the startup world, how do you describe what you actually do and who you help? And if you're also operating with your funders?
Yeah. So we're not typical investors. If somebody's thinking to send us a message for, let's say, just funding, we're not going to be getting involved. That's not what we do. What we do is we validate the ideas, founder's profile, how this particular solution can make an impact on the market, how it can change the dynamics, right? That's what our research team does before onboarding, or let's say showing interest to any particular product. Board the product, we don't just supply the cash. We provide infrastructure, which is required to build the product. Number two, which is required to launch the product, which is required to scale the product. So let's say today you come up with an idea to me, and your bottleneck is that you don't have unlimited, or let's say infinite cash to build and scale it, right? So you tell me, this is the problem that I want help from Creosoft, that I want to solve, and we evaluate if it sounds practical, that okay, there is a potential in this project. What we do is we join you as partners. So I take a leadership position, my partner takes a leadership position, and then we have an infrastructure that we open for you, so that you can build, you can test, without having a worry of you burning your own capital. It would be us as well, that we will be co investing and co-founding the product with you. So the risk, the stakes, let's say the risk of burning the cash almost goes half, and then you're confident that you're with a reputable firm which has a great credibility in the Middle Eastern market, in the epic region. So that's what we do, and that's what differentiates us from the other accelerators or incubators. So we don't do pretty nice pitch decks and all that. We don't do that stuff. We don't give cash. We're operators. We help them to co-found the product, and we jump in as leaders on the product. Yeah.
Very good. Okay. Okay. And what type of funders get the most value when working with Curaçao Capital?
So there are always waves of different things, right? And all we have to do is to catch the wave. Almost a lot of my friends who were Web3 specialists in 2023, they're now AI specialists. And you know the reason. There is a wave of every technology. There is a wave of every particular, technology. If you ask me, past 2 years, we saw some great success in blockchain, Web3, working with the founders in that space. But now, from the last, let's say, 2 years or this year onward, it's all about AI. How AI is, making things effective, even small solutions, even small applications, how they're making impact. So right now we're focusing on empowering and expanding on that particular technology, and then maybe in the future merge them both to see how the fintech and AI together can transform the entire industry. Yeah.
Awesome, awesome. And what makes your approach different from a traditional accelerator or VC fund?
See, one of our project uh and was very successful, that the investors made around 350x, right? Now, when I talk about 300x, that's a lot of, like, that's a crazy big return, right? How it can be achieved, there has to be a strategy, there has to be a thinking. So that's what I just mentioned earlier, that if we support, or let's say lend hands to a project to build with us, we work on a strategy to make sure that there is zero risk on them on scaling. So that's what makes us different than the other accelerators and incubators. And yeah, so what we're saying, we have proven results, and we've been active in the market. So we don't onboard projects until we ourselves are not convinced that this could make an impact overall. So that's that's the main difference between us and the others out in the market. Yeah.
Beautiful, beautiful. Makes sense. From the outside, people see deals, announcements, and growth. Inside, it's a lot more operation and complex. And right now, what feel like the hardest part of building and scaling Creosoft Capital?
There has to be a combination, right? So typically, your founding team should be equally structured in a way that one party, let's say one partner, should be excellent in technology or solving the technical things, and then one partner, or let's say the other party, would be great in marketing, sales, and running the PR, or let's say the growth of the company. So in our case, I was very lucky that our partnership with my partner and me, we have the synergy. So he's someone like a genie. Anything is possible for him in terms of tech. So he can evaluate things, he can make things happen. And then from my perspective, what I do is I take on the communication layer, I take on the expansion growth. So this is the perfect synergy, which is the reason we're successful. And this is what I see the first thing in any project or any team, like how the founding team is comprised. If, let's say, you just have two partners and they're best in sales, but you don't have any technical person, you're in a problem. If you have two technical person, no salesperson, no finance person, then again you're in a problem. So it has to be equal. The founding team, the way you structure your leadership, that drives the success of your company. It's not the idea, it's the team. It's the combination of the people. Yeah.
Okay, okay. Love this. Where do you feel the most friction in your current model?
I think it's in the old business model. This is a very profitable, let's say, industry if we talk about tech, right? So with the verge of AI, I think more and more people are coming towards building products. So let's say in the last 2 years, if we talk about 2023, 2024, there were like 10,000 products in a year that were launched properly. Now there are 100,000, because the AI has increased the frequency of building the products, solving the problem. So even us, we were able to launch, let's say, one or two products in 6 months. Now we're doing it in days. So that's the friction that I can see. The time of building has literally decreased from months to days with the help of AI. So you can actually go out in the market, show your product to the people, and see how it works. And that's what I think is the biggest friction these days.
Yeah. Well, it's a good friction. Okay. And what happened? What problem keeps coming back even as you grow?
The problem is always the changing in the trends, let's say the wave, as I mentioned about the adoption of the technology. So let's say if we talk about the past days, there was a very good scope in the services industry, but now we see that it has decreased. The time of things getting executed, the cash flow, it decreases. The technology industry is actually suffering. There is a negative side to it as well. While the businesses are taking advantage from the AI, but the developers, the engineers, the people, their work is getting obsolete day by day because most of the things are getting automated. So this is the problem that we're facing. And I've been seeing like the shift in the technology, due to which, we had to make very big changes, team structures and all that. So this is what we have to do every 1 year, 2 years, because the technology business is like that. There's always a new trend and you have to adopt to it. Otherwise you're gone. Just like Nokia and the Kodak camera company went out of the market.
Yeah, yeah, so sad. Yeah, definitely. Has anything changed recently in the market that has made your job more difficult?
No, it actually made my job easier what happened in the market. So
Yeah, the
before,
AI stuff.
let's say if you're a founder, right, and you want to come explain or pitch an idea to me, and you want us to, let's say, invest or let's say provide you the infrastructure to build that product. Now, we could only see the product after 3 months, 4 months, once it actually developed, right? With the help of AI, with the help of vibe coding, with the help of great tools that are out there, we're now actually able to prototype things very quickly so that, the marketing teams can run campaigns to see if the people are getting interested or not. So what we used to evaluate in 6 months, now we can do it in 1 or 2 months with the help of AI. So we can do faster. That means you're investing less money, you're getting your product out faster, and you're evaluating the results faster. So for me, this change has actually benefited the way I work, and the risk levels have, dropped because of the help of AI. So I would not call it a problem. I would call it a very big blessing on all the people who are creative builders who are using AI. Yeah.
Very good, very positive, and yeah, problem brings solutions, and you you speak with a large number of early stage funders, so you see pattern most people never get visibility into. From your vantage point, what is one shift in how a startup should be built today that is still underappreciated by most funders?
Yeah. So there are two aspects to it. One is the building aspect to it, and one is the scaling aspect to it, right? So before you write the first line of code, or let's say get started to build something, you always have to have the growth strategy in mind. You have to have an exit strategy in mind, right? So you have to think from the other side of the chart. So let's say if you have $10,000 and you want to build a product, what you do, you build it. Now, once you build it, you don't know how to sell. And if you don't know how to sell it, you would go to investors, you'll pay a lot of companies to help you securing investments. And what if you don't do it? What would you would end up in a stage where you don't have cash, you don't have a profitable product, so you're gone. So what I see, that fundamentally the thing that I personally, advise the founders to think from the other end. So let's say you first talk about the exit strategy. Let's say if it doesn't work out, what should we do? The second thing is, let's say if it is built today, how can fast can you make money? Because you don't have to invent the color blue. It's just like, like a landing page that it takes to validate your product. Let's say a non-functional, just like a landing page where you can start the campaigns and see if the users are getting attracted. After that, you invest, you put your money, you put your brain. Otherwise you're going to be draining a lot of capital, and that's not going to end up in a good way. And that's what is the biggest mistake that most of the founders do. And this is where we come in. We kind of find the gaps, we de-risk the products, de-risk their ideas, and then we start to build them actually, rather than doing experiments on money that is just burned.
Yeah, definitely. Okay, makes sense. And what signals do you personally pay attention to when evaluated a startup?
The clear mathematics. So let's say the business model. Um, like I am particularly not a fond of creativity too much, because it takes you to solve a small problem. That's more than enough to launch a product. So what problem they are solving, how quickly they can create the cash flow positive, the business cash flow positive, how the revenue is going to go positive. And if, let's say, the investor, or let's say if the third party investor invests certain amount of capital, how it's going to impact the overall strategy and how the numbers are going to change. So the numbers, the mathematics is very important. Problem that you need to think about, that's your product, but solving the problem is not just building that. It has to has clarity on, let's say, 2 years from now, 3 years from now. That's what we see, and this is what I think every founder should do before jumping into building a product, because otherwise you're not going to go anywhere, in my humble opinion.
That's right. I agree. And what is something widely misunderstood about raising early stage capital?
Yeah, this is a very good question. I think this needs to be heard very clearly, that 99% of the founders, they think that if they have an idea, they can raise money. That's not true. A lot of companies would charge a lot of money from you to promise you that they will help you raising money, but it's all scam, because nowadays the trends have changed. The validation aspect is very important. The first thing investor is interested is about, let's say, if I put $100,000 in your product, how much I'm going to make and how soon I'm going to get the profits out, right? And that can only come with the validation. So let's say if you made a like an order management system, or let's say a chatbot, anything, and you've implemented that chatbot in 3 organizations where you're generating revenue of, let's say, $500 to $600. Okay, that's the just the test revenue. Oh, you can show, okay, with 3 customers, I'm making $600. And if you invest $1 million, I'm going to increase my user base to, let's say, 100,000 users. And it has to just multiply the number to show the investor. It should be like 2 plus 2 is equal to 4. That's how simple the mathematics should be. So if you're willing to, like, if you're thinking that idea would raise funds for you, you're living in, let's say, 2018 or 2020. It's 2026. The trends have changed. So you have to have a validation. Build it, wipe code, do AI tools, build a startup, test it out in the market. And when you have your first 10 customers, then think about investments, because then it would make sense. And that's what most founders don't do, and they fail incredibly, Yeah.
Very good answer. I love it. Um, when you are operating across multiple vertical and geographies, focus become a strategic decision, not just a preference. Looking ahead, 12 to 18 months, what does success realistically look like for Creosoft Capital?
Yeah, for us, success is like we want to elevate the founders, the products that we work with to become successful. And we want to build a unicorn. That's the goal of my life. So whether it's coming from my brain, the idea, or the founder, or let's say the team that we invest in, but that is the goal. That's the end goal. So we want to do it. And once we do it, we will repeat it. With the AI, we are seeing a lot of, assistance that we get to brainstorm and validate the ideas faster. So we're building fintech products, we're building AI products, we're helping founders in that domain. And that's the goal, that we need at least one of them to go towards the stage where we can produce a unicorn from our ecosystem, from our accelerator. And that's the goal. That's the, that's a short answer. That's the short-term vision that I'm looking at the moment.
Wonderful. And the opposite, what are you deliberately choosing not to do right now?
I'm open to everything. Whatever makes money, I'm okay as long as it is legit. So there's nothing in
I
particular.
got it. Yeah. Okay. Okay. Yeah. If you had fewer constraints, what will you accelerate first?
Like, come again, elaborate it,
Unlimited
please.
cash.
I would enhance my marketing teams. I would spend all the money on the growth, because that's the people that bring you. So rather than investing, or let's say spending your cash on the liabilities, you should invest on the side which is actually bringing you the revenue. Because once you have the revenue, once you have the cash flow, you can build a great team. You can have 1,000 developers, engineers, a lot of people in your team, and you can manage them easily. But if I have a little cash, I would and I just want to give you an example. I read it somewhere that somebody asked Bill Gates that if, let's say, all your net worth is gone in one day, all your money is gone, what you would do? How would you restart? How would you start again? And he gave a beautiful answer. He said, I'll borrow $100 from someone and I'll go to the finest cafe of New York to have a coffee there. Because in that high end venue, I will find the people who will buy my dreams. So it's all about you first selling your dream. And once, let's say, the people are following you, you can build your infrastructure, you can make offices, you can buy a lot of, liabilities. But before that, of course, it's the sales team, it's the growth part that I would focus more if I have little cash.
Makes a lot of sense. Definitely. I love it. What decision feels most important for you at this stage?
Transforming ourselves into what's the current trend taking us to. So as I mentioned earlier, AI, effective, use of AI in all the operations, even in, small things. As soon as you adopt it, you start using, you integrate yourself with AI, the more faster and most effective you become. So I'm changing the dynamics of how my team works, how our current scenario is. So even just to give you a funny, like an example, like we used to evaluate the products, right? So we have people, the research team who does the analysis on different sort of things on the projects. Now we're using AI to, just see things from a data perspective and all that. So we have implemented AI, and the goal for now is that I should completely transform myself and have some, let's say, good AI agents as my employees, team members, as soon as I can.
Very good choice. Wonderful. You sit at the intersection of founders, capital, execution, which give you a unique practical lens. Based on everything you have seen and learned so far, what should founder or operator in a similar position start or stop doing?
Yeah, start roaming around, start making network, start making yourself visible in the market. Don't just invent in the closed room yourself. So if, let's say, you're building something, if you're onto something, try to meet a lot of people on the regular basis. I would say everyone to visit Dubai. We always say come to Dubai, Habibi, because that's the great place. It's all about events. It's all about, technology. It's all about new things. And they impress you every time you just see things around, right? Or go to APEC region, Singapore, see what's happening there. Try to make connections, try to build your network. Because if you have a network, anything that you build, it's going to be sellable. But without a network, without proper connections, without proper regional knowledge, you can't really launch or scale a product. So it's not about inventing or thinking. Being intelligent, you have to also be very, extrovert in terms of how you are promoting the product, how you're promoting yourself. So you should go visit, you should make friends, you should just, like you and like me, we're talking, right? So that's what everyone should do. Make connections, do podcasts, be visible everywhere.
Yes, that's for sure. I love it. Beautiful. And what decision took you too long to make in hindsight?
Being with the right people is very important, because if you trust the wrong people, you're going to end up wasting a lot of time and energy. And what you can achieve in, let's say, very less time, it takes ages for you to achieve, because there is a negative force that is dragging you behind. So I would say, in my opinion, I'm a person who can trust anyone, right? So that was the fundamental problem. And I think like with the right people, you can achieve things really, really faster. So I always say, don't just look at the idea product, look at the team. If you have a good team, you can make 10 products. If you have a bad team, you can't do one. So that's what I've learned, and that's what I'm improving as well. Yeah.
I love it. Bravo, bravo. What habits has made the biggest difference on how you work?
I listen to audiobooks, and like, different audiobooks. So I don't get time to read the actual books and spend time in, reading. So I listen to them. And I think when I started doing that, that has changed the way I communicate with the people, appreciating them, understanding the dynamics of how to lead a good team, when to react fast in the execution, whether you fail or pass, just do it. See how it goes. And then you would always find a way. So there is an example that I would like to quote that I always give. For a founder, it's like jumping off a cliff, assembling a plane, and making it fly before you hit the ground. So once you jump from the cliff, you can figure out to assemble the plane. And if you see that I'm just gonna die, you would definitely, take off. So just throw yourself into that, out of that comfort zone, and try to be positive all the time. and then things would work out to you. There's an energy. We Muslims, we have a ultimate faith in the divine. So we think that if you think about something, if you really want to achieve something, you would definitely get it. Nature would help you to get it. So that's how I would say I operate.
Inshallah.
Inshallah.
What advice will you give your earlier self before starting Creosoft Capital?
Do things fast. Don't evaluate things. Don't wait for the right moment. Just try to do it. Once you do it, you would come to know whether you took the right decision or the wrong decision. The earlier you realize things, the better you can, come back with. So that would be the message that I would like to give my earlier self. But I've learned so far. So I think if I had given the life once again, I would start the same way. But the one thing that I would change is the people. Now I'm very grateful to be part of such a prestige team because the team, the partners, the environment that you are in, that helps you to either become and think like a billionaire or just, spend your time like a normal person.
Wonderful. They're very lucky to have you. Perfect. One last one red flag you never ignore.
Discipline, consistency. If I see that consistency is not there, discipline is not there, I don't find myself comfortable with those type of founders, people, team members. So I think it's not about results. It's results you can't guarantee. You can't expect or let's say be sure about results. But one thing you could be sure of is your consistent effort, discipline. And if you do things with consistency, with discipline, results are going to come. That's my belief system. So without the discipline, without the consistency, if you have $1 billion idea in your mind, you're not going to go anywhere. So that's what I see as a red flag. If I find that in someone, I just stay away. Yeah.
You're completely right. Beautiful, beautiful. Wajeeh, thank you so much for joining. Very strong insight into your journey, your industry, and the work you are doing at Creosoft Capital. Thank you so much. It was great.
It is my pleasure, and I hope to add some value to your audience. I'm on the way at the moment, like I'm not yet a person who has an inspiring life story. So, future, of course, shapes us all. But thank you so much for inviting me to having this valuable conversation. And for everyone out there, for your audience, if you're builders, if you're struggling with, let's say, having any thoughts, clarity on what you're doing in terms of the technology business, our doors are always open. We love to help. We love to consult. We love to share insights. So, yeah. Through Laurent, you can always get in touch with me. Thank you.
No, where can people reach you and your team?
Yeah, I think you can drop my LinkedIn profile on the video, and then of course Creosoft.capital. Creosoft.capital is our website. You can learn more about us in Dubai, Singapore, and yeah. So if by any chance we could be of any assistance, feel free to get in touch with us.
Very cool. I'm sure the audience will love this. And, we can do another tech together in a year from now and see your success. Definitely.
Thank you so much. I really appreciate it.
Wajeeh, thank you very much. And that's it for today's episode of AI Interconnect. And if you enjoy it, share it with someone who's building the future, or better yet, someone who should be. And until next time, stay curious, stay creative, and keep building.